Good morning, everyone. How is everyone this very, very warm Saturday? I am just sitting here sweating like a sinner in church because I'm writing on my computers. Obviously the kids can say, I'm by a huge window that faces east, so obviously the sun just blares down on it in the mornings.
Amazing.
Yeah, and like the desert is already, I know Vegas is hotter than us, but we are already nearly at 100, and I'm just like, no, it's too hot, but what it is. Can't complain. So good morning, everyone. Let me say hi to people. Jacob Ironside, hello. Thank you for being here this morning, good sir. Hi, Roman. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you.
Hi, Sarah.
Here.
Sarah, you mentioned my name. The internet's not supposed to know. It's fine. My friend Sarah has actually been in the process of renovating her own house, and so that's what she's talking about. Her own house for the first time because she just bought it and stuff. So it's really, really cool. I'm super excited. I'd be more excited, but sinuses kind of have me in this like little, I don't know what's going on around me right now.
No worries, girl. No worries. Well, congratulations, Sarah. That is an undertaking. We've had new windows, new stucco, and we painted all last year. Woo! That was a lot. That was a lot. Renovating houses is a lot. So good luck to you, girl. Shieldwell, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, we got some stuff to go over. We got some news to cover. We are going over the last bit of the history of Celeborn and Galadriel, as we mentioned last week. And then today we are also going over the disaster of the Gladden fields, which weirdly wasn't terribly a long chapter. It was actually the notes that just got longer and longer and longer and longer. There was a lot of discursive notes in this section. And then we'll have a couple of announcements. Well, you know what? I'm going to make a couple of announcements now because I know some people always can't stay for the full 2 hours. Next week, we will be back on Mando's channel, and we will be going to Rohan for the first time. We will be going over the history of Errol, and we're so excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I love Rohan. I'm sorry, the Rohirrim are like my favorite. Like, yeah. I love the Númenórean and that whole race of men, but my favorite is the Rohirrim because they're just regular guys. They don't have any special lineage or anything. They're just good peoples.
They're just good peoples who are good to their horses, and that's why I love them. So that's next week on Mando's channel. The following channel, which is the 18th channel, the following weekend, which is the 18th, we normally would have been back on my channel. Mando is probably going to be on her channel again, maybe with a guest. It is up to her, because I will be in Dallas at the Fan Expo, hanging out. So she will be going over the history of Erebor, I believe. So 2 weeks in a row, we will be on Mando's channel, and I sadly will not be here, but she will be taking the reins and driving the show, and super excited for that. So let me say, hello, my dear. Good morning. I've been looking forward to this all week. Well, thank you. I heard from my committee chair last Sunday, and as usual, almost ruined my whole week, but Literary Soul Sisters caused me to finish early. Nice. Oh, I'm sorry that your committee chair has not been nice. Girl, I understand that. My committee chair, I pulled out with my PhD because just not feeling it and praying about it, and just it's not for me right now. But I hear you. Committee chairs can be rough. Like my committee chair member in Ireland when I was in my first PhD, he was mean. Made me cry several times. So prayers up for you, girl. That keep soldiering on. The Thad that shouldn't be. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for taking that person to task. Is what it is. You know, if you're going to come in my comment section and you're going to write dumb stuff, you're going to get schooled. Sorry. That's the way it's going to be. Let's just say this now. Galadriel is older than the moon. It's written down. It's in the lore. Sorry, you can't change Tolkien's writings to suit your desires. So Thad, shout out to you, man. I hope that little twerp doesn't ruin too much of your day, but I appreciate you taking him to task. If you haven't started community, don't.
Yeah, me and him have been messaging a little bit, and he's like, "You should watch Kenobi to do a review on it." And I'm like, "Oh, what?" So I'm not gonna.
That's funny.
I am not gonna.
Thanks. It's been a really long
Man.
process, but I have finished because I started but I have to finish because I start my PhD in the fall. Okay, well, you know what, girl, shout out to you. God drew me away from my PhD because it just wasn't my time yet, and also I can't get to Ireland right now. I'm a modern Irish historian, so but prayers up for you. That's incredible. So you keep going, you keep soldiering on, and this community will be here if you need to vent, because I understand 1000%. Hi, Mom. Okay. So let's get on to some news, shall we?
Yes.
We
wanted to give you guys a fantastic treat of us roasting some dumb stuff. So
exactly. So let me pull this up. I should have had this done before we got going. So, let's talk about. Oh, hold on. I
feel like the dagger is supposed to represent something, but
well, I
maybe
think also
I'm
this
just wrong.
chainmail is representing something as well. I thought of Rafiki for. Oh yes, that's also a good one. Yeah, I just saw like mid 18th century or 19th century America.
I saw the same thing, Var.
This guru said he looked like a barrister from England, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of can see that, but that hair, like those mutton chops, that's a very particular time in American history.
Oh my god!
It's pretty racist of Amazon to give their only black hair hobbited hairdo. This is reminiscent of a bad mood from the Disney movie. Well said, my dear. Well said. Well said. Hi, Salty. Thank you for being here. Also, Warrior Galadriel is ridiculous. I find it ironic that modern feminism is all about masculine women while hating on masculine men for toxicity. Isn't imitation the sincerest form of flattery? Damn! Coming in with the comments this morning. Well put. I hadn't even thought of that. Well pointed out.
Yeah.
So this first one, and I just love that don't expect the same Galadriel. And I've seen everyone say this, like, excuse me, what other version of Galadriel is there? You mean the one that was Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, like, there's also the fact that, like, she is one of everyone's favorite character. Like, she's on the top 10 of just about anybody who calls themselves a Tolkien fan. Galadriel's up there. Yeah. And it is well, I guess it is conceivable. It is just nice words, brain fog. It's dumb to think that people who love Galadriel would be appalled. Well, like, we wouldn't be appalled at what they're doing to her. That's not her character. They, like what we talked about last week, they just switched Elrond and Galadriel's roles in the, like, that's all. What is this? What is this?
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty deliberate where they've got that dagger. And good point. I hadn't even thought of that, but that chainmail.
Yeah.
And like, I wish I could zoom in. I wonder, there was a better one I found last night when I was doing my video that I could like really zoom in. But if you look under her knee braces, okay, first of all, these leggings are from Amazon. They're the mermaid cheap cosplay leggings. I shit you not. That's what these leggings are. That, like, you can see the material is folding right here. I'm sorry. I can't even fathom what the gal who did all the costumes for Lord of the Rings would have thought of. Like, literally, those are polyester stretch leggings. That's all that is.
So she there's meme that's been old forever. When you actually buy something professionally made versus a costume on Wish, I think that they just went to Wish and they purchased all of their cosplay stuff there.
Yep, that is accurate. Here's the problem with women trying to be men. Real men will still beat them at their game every time, so it is only hurting them more by doing it. Yep, that's true. That's absolutely true. Spanx, yeah. Yes, they're Spanx.
I mean, if you guys know of Shadiversity, he's got like a chainmail hoodie. It looks better. Let me point the right way. It looks better than this thing, like by a long shot. Like
Yeah.
They're $1 billion company. They could have invested in some real like stuff.
I know.
They didn't have to
And
go
Salty's
they didn't have
right.
to buy stuff from Wish.
No. This is a 4-handed sword.
Mm-hmm.
Not even Anduril is that long. Who the hell is wielding this sword?
That's a war sword. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Shadowversity, but he talks about the different category the different categories of longsword. There's the long sword, the great sword, and then the war sword, which is what this thing probably is. But
still, like that,
she doesn't need it.
I'm sorry. Like, okay, I'm 5'8", 5'9". You know, if I stand up straight, I'm 5'9". But I'm a dancer, so I slapped really bad. I have small hands. I'm sorry, I just do. There is no way in hell I could grip that sword, and I'm a tall woman. Like, no. it's not even like the different categories of swords. It's that women physically can't grip that level of sword. So this is just it's insane. She is such an elegant elf, and to see her turn into a warrior makes me angry. Yep, you and me both, my dear.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they spent all their money on acquiring the rights. They have nothing left for production. Nice, yes.
They're like, we need to buy the stuff from Wish.
Yeah. There are only 3 reasons a woman would be in that position. The first is sexual. Yep. The second reason would be to go to the bathroom in the wild. The third is to give birth in a standing position. Yes. Which, yeah, well, bluntly put that. Like, what is the hanging chainmail even going to protect you from? What is she wearing underneath it? Oh, good point.
Bet you she's wearing a codpiece.
Probably. The hilt would be appropriate to Claymore style battle. If she had a Claymore, the blade would be like 3 feet into the ground. And yeah, that's also the thing, is because like her posture,
it would have been hanging sideways.
Yeah,
like, it wouldn't
like,
be hanging straight like that. It would be hanging
sticking
to the
out
side.
right here. Like we should see the sword point literally right here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, literally Sundress Sisters, Can't Stay Long, saying hi to y'all and chat. Thank you so much, Cajun.
Hi, Cajun.
Hope you had fun with Johnny last night. I'll go say hi and see how delirious he is after our stream.
Oh, that's her. 49. Oh god.
Yeah, because I guess Lyndon, so one of the other G&G people, has a 48, and so Johnny, of course, has to be better than that. He's on a 49-hour stream. Go throw him bits if you feel so inclined. The man's gonna need it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's insane. So anyways, let's move on because we do have a lot to cover today.
Yes.
Oh, for fudgesicle. Hold on. Stupid thing.
Yeah, guys, I think that the dagger is specifically placed in that position for a couple of reasons, but yeah, wow. That hair, man. That hair. Hot take.
I agree with you, Salty. She should be in a sundress.
I agree.
I absolutely agree.
She should be in a sundress.
But remember, her sword is broken from killing so many orcs. That's true. So this one. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry. This is 1800s, mid 1800s haircut. This is deliberate. This is a time when there was a civil war in America. People had haircuts like this. This is so blatant. It's pathetic.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it's so bad. It's so racist. It's blatantly racist.
It is. It's blatantly racist.
Like, who said, like, one, why does there have to be just a random person of color in there? 2, why do they have to get the most racist person of color haircut? And 3, what are they wearing? I feel like Bilbo, like, what? What is this?
Don't make me play that again. Anywho, yeah, you know what? The Thad That Shouldn't Be commented on my video, and he said something really intelligent that I hadn't even thought about, but it's true. People who don't understand the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages or whatever the hell you want to call them, they have this misconception that people were dirty, they were afraid of water. I can't remember all the other things he said, and he's absolutely correct. Like, people who don't understand what was going on in the early to late Middle Ages think that like everyone was like basically living in squalor.
Very ill, uneducated, very unsanitary. Like that's what what when you talk about just the basic common person's idea of the Middle Ages, that's what they think. And that's why I love watching Shadiversity's channel, because he's not only him, but many other channels like his are trying to dispel that myth, because there are records, historical records of what medieval life was like, how they kept themselves clean, how they brushed their teeth, how they what their idea of cleanliness was. Now, it wouldn't be the same as ours because they didn't have an understanding of germs, but they did have an understanding of there are dirty things in the world and dirty things make you sick.
Yep.
Bye, Cajun.
Well, and also what you have to remember is like their immune system was so much greater than ours. Like, one of my professors once said that if we were to travel back to the Middle Ages, we'd die like that. Like we would die immediately. We would not live long. So their immune system was capable of handling so much more than ours was. So and someone else pointed out these feet are so bad.
Like if you can zoom in on the person of color's foot, the one that's like closest to us, it looks wrong.
How do you do that? Is it like F? Was it?
I think it's Control and Zoom, right?
Look at that. All right.
Hey, I remembered a thing.
I thought it was
foggy brain. That what is that? What
they
is
look
that?
like they have ropes on their feet. Like you can tell her foot ends here.
I bet you what they did is they took that person's basic foot and then they put like a glove on their foot to make it longer. But hobbits had normal feet. The only thing that we know of that hobbits had different was hair on their feet.
Yeah. This is sticking out way too far. Like you can see where that prosthetic ends. And same here. Yeah. You can see where his prosthetic begins and his real foot begins. Or ends, whatever.
It looks wrong.
It does. They think people back then were living in squalor, never bathed, only had two outfits, a dirty, ragged outfit, or cloth outfit and leather outfit, all sorts of Yep, they do. It's like they use Bry Larson as a foot model for Harfoots. That is correct. They probably didn't cover the whole foot like Peter Jackson's did. No, I don't think they did. I think it's quite obvious that their prosthetics are much different. Something interesting in the Middle Ages, commoners ate better than royalty. That's also true. That is also true.
Because they ate off the land. It was very healthy, very you know what?
Yeah.
That's another rabbit trail that I want to go on for another day, but still.
Yeah. So
because it says Dark Ages does not mean that were uneducated.
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And shout out to Rosie. I legit thought she was his daughter. No, they're married. So I don't know. I like this one. I'm the least. I mean, if I had to pick of the three, which one I'm least irritated with, it's this one. I mean, this smirk. Here's the thing. Hold on. Eating off the land and not eating fake food. What a concept. I know, Tugs, right?
What? Like, who would have thought of that?
Who would have thunk it? His smirk, actually, like, just, whatever. Whatever. His smirk is what's bothering me. I'm just like, can you imagine Elrond smirking? Oh, I said Elrond. Take a drink. I'm sorry. I just like, I don't know. This to me is more irreverent, like funny irreverent than the others. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this?
I have a bad feeling they're gonna Thor this, meaning it's just gonna be some slapstick comedy. They're gonna make the dwarves into laughing stocks, is what I like based on just this image alone. Also, like, yes, the dwarves like gold, but also, like, when you look at The Hobbit, like Peter Jackson's The Hobbit, how they portrayed like a golden inlaid area, it looked good. The color saturation in this just looks like they put a coat of paint on a wooden on a wooden chair. They're just like, let's get the closest color of gold and just paint the.
Don't like if you watch the behind the scenes of The Hobbit, like it took them so long to get that color saturation for the gold in Smaug's cave, right? Like they're like, you can't actually make it gold because it looks wrong to our eyes. There's like a very specific way you're supposed to do gold on screen, and it took Peter Jackson's team like months to get it right.
But they also cared about it to take that time to spend months and months and months on it.
When it actually cares.
If you like, one, they actually cared, and two, like, I don't understand, like, Amazon has had years and years to do this series. Why, like, what have they been doing this whole time? Have they, like, there was no, did they just film everything this past year?
Yeah.
Like, because that's what it seems like. They just did everything. They're like, Christopher Tolkien's dead. Let's get started right now. It's like, but you've had the rights for years. Like, what? And you said you had a production coming. Like, you could have taken the time to get the costume right, to get the saturation right, to get the weird Bobby thing on this crazy woman dwarf's head even, or photoshopped it to where it looked even, because it's still lopsided. It's still lopsided. It's still lopsided. Like, they could have done, like, and she looks paler because, like, the way they have the saturation on her, like,
the reflection is making her look
wrong.
Weird. It does.
It just looks so wrong.
Tugs, it's now a running joke on my channel that I'm slightly obsessed with Elrond. We can all, I'm not going to not own up to that. So every time I say Elrond, you have to take a drink. That's what that is. Jackson is the goat. Girl.
Yes.
Jacob, because they're creatively bankrupt, which is why when you find someone who is an indie author, indie anything, who's doing their own thing, support them. Because again, are things bleak? Yeah. But there's also a lot of people creating stuff. So I do get a little weary of people in our community. All we do is sit around and say, like, they're destroying everything, when a lot of people are going out of their way to create things. Like, for example, Abunas, who announced on the Dark Council this past week that, yes, I am his editor. I am going to help him edit his high fantasy series. So trust me, and I know, like, I am someone who holds things close to the vest. I know of other people who are working on things that I will not reveal. But trust me when I say I know of a lot of people in our fellowship who are going out of their way to correct this crap. So don't think that we're just all sitting here on our laurels, because we're not. Sorry. Okay, there's my soapbox.
A lot of I'm gonna kind of related to that soapbox, but also, like, me and my friend Roto Kamish and A Force Legacy were talking last night when we were playing a game, and they were asking the same question, like, why do these companies take these IPs and just destroy them? And my answer was, well, a lot of these creative types want to be original. They want to be original. They want to do their own thing, but they also, in this day and age, are very lazy. So they want to have that built-in fan base, and they want to have all the accolades and stuff. They don't want to do, the thing is, they want the praise, but they don't want to do the work that it takes to get there. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be like, I want to do my own original thing, but I know that it's going to take forever to build up a fan base. So I want to have a pre-existing fan base. And then I want to put my own original creative ideas in there, because I don't want to take the time and do the work and do the effort to put my own individual, like my own independent creative things and build the fan base that I need. That's what it is. They want that, they want the built-in fan base, because they don't want to have to build it on their own, because they're lazy.
Yeah.
So that was my take.
Yeah, you're right, Salty. You actually have to care about something to portray it correctly. Yep. Jacob, I am happy to hear that, sir. When you are ready to share, trust me, the fellowship will be there to lift you up. Will you post a link for the series you are editing when it is ready? Of course I will. This is the first I've heard of it, and it sounds exciting. I will. So Abanas, I mean, he's getting on the horse. It's the first time he's getting on the horse, and so it will be a little while. Like, that's the thing. And that's what's also, tough to digest, is that, you sit down to write a book, for instance, it can take upwards of 2 years before it's out and published. Like, you know, it takes time. It absolutely takes time. But when it comes out, trust me, we'll all be singing its praises. I hope people like it. I'm going to do everything in my power to make it the best it can be. And I know Abunas is very dedicated and very willing to do what he needs to make his story good. Because trust me, I know it. He's told me the whole thing. And I'm so excited for this. I can't wait for him to share this with you guys because his heart and soul is in this story. And, you know, so if you don't follow Abunas, go follow him. Do I have any mods in the chat? If you could, Tugs or Salty, if you're still here, if you could post the link to Abunas's Twitter, I would deeply appreciate that. He will be probably posting stuff as we go. And just so you guys can keep up with him, I'd appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into what we're talking about today, which is wrapping up the history of Galadriel and Celeborn and getting onto the disaster of the Gladden fields. It's it's been a week. Hashtag it's been a week. It's been a week since we talked last, and Mando and I have to admit that we don't really remember.
Sorry, guys.
You're good.
Yeah, my sinus is kicking my butt the last couple days, and I reread a lot of stuff, and it just didn't stick. So
yeah, it's okay. So Amroth and Nimrodel. So Nimrodel is in the Fellowship of the Ring. It's when the Fellowship has gone through Moria, and they're outside of. Sorry, I'm walking my dog. No worries. Okay, no. Mando got it. Salty, you're good. You're good. Go walk your dog. Give him a kiss for me. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Nimrodel is a stream. It's a big river. Those are two separate things. Outside of Lorien, and in the Fellowship of the Ring, after the Fellowship got through Moria and Gandalf's fallen, they're on their way to Lorien, and they stop by a river called Nimrodel, and Legolas gives a piece of the story of this elven lady, Nimrodel. And in the Unfinished Tales, we actually get more of her story of how she was lost. She has a really tragic story. She was just never happy. She's one of these people who's just never happy, and she kind of lived alone. But Amroth, who was an elven prince and the king of Lorien, fell in love with her. And what is most interesting to me about this whole part is that Amroth, in these early drafts of the Lord of the, just of Middle Earth's history, was actually the son of Celeborn and Galadriel.
Mm-hmm. It's starting to come back to me, the story. Yeah, I'm remembering.
Yeah, and then he wasn't. And then I don't know if it was Thad, if you know, because I was confused. I tried to read this as closely as possible. It seems like then that idea was scrapped and he turned into somebody else's son.
I think that's kind of where that's kind of the same thing I got. It was going to be Galadriel and Celeborn's son, but then it wasn't, and there were reasons why it wasn't, and it kind of just stayed there.
Yeah. So I mean, this part's interesting, and
it's a great love story.
It
not
is.
as great as Beren and Luthien, but
no, it's not, and it's sad. So Amroth basically tells Nimrodel, because she's so sad of just everything that's happened in Middle Earth. He's like, let's go to the Undying Lands. Let's just get on a boat and go. And because she says, I will not love you. She runs to Fangorn. That's what it was. She ran all the way to Fangorn, and Amroth chased her. And she's like, take me to a place where there's no more war and misery, or something along those lines. And he's like, okay, let's go to the Undying Lands. And so they start this journey. And somehow, the amount of people who get lost in Middle Earth, they just will be walking along, and then the person behind them just up and disappears, is weird.
I mean, that happens in modern day stuff though too. So
that's true. Early on, Amroth was their kid, but Tolkien seemed to want him to be a younger and more connected to the Sylvan elves, so he changed it. Okay, thank you, Thad. Because it's been a week since I read this, and I there's a lot that happened in here, but. So they get separated, and Amroth gets to the harbor that Tar what's his name, the sea guy that we have read about, who I just will never retain that guy's name, the marriage counseling dude, where one of the ports that he built on Middle Earth, gets there. She's not there. The elves that are living there want to leave for the Undying Lands. He gets on the boat and he's like, well, we'll stay for a little while and see if she comes. Never does. Boat gets swept out to sea. He jumps off. No, it wasn't Círdan. It was a different, I think, I could be wrong, but it was a different, oh, it's okay, dear. It's a different port, I believe. I could be totally wrong, though, Thad. And he jumps out of the boat and tries to swim back to the shore, but there's a really horrible storm, and he drowns. Like, end of story.
Basically. And then we don't really hear
this person who I can not remember how to say their name, and I'm listening to the audiobook. It's so embarrassing. I just can't retain how to say this guy's name. It's annoying. So I keep
wanting to say Alderaan, and I know it's wrong because Alderaan is the planet in Star Wars. I'm sorry, guys.
So anyways, but yeah, I don't know, that's kind of just,
and we never hear what happened to her.
No,
it's just he jumped off the boat to swim back to wait for her, and
yeah. And it kind of confused me why this story was even in this section. But I mean, I guess because this guy was supposed to originally be their son, that makes sense. What I took away from this is just how many times Eldarion, thank you. Okay, Eldarion, there we go. I got it. Eldarion. Tar Eldarion. God, he comes up a lot. If he's in this show, I just can't even imagine what they're going to do to his character. Is how much Galadriel and Celeborn would leave Lothlorien and then they'd go back and then they'd leave Lothlorien and then they go back. That's what I really took away is how many times. That's what I got out of this chapter is there was a lot of back and forth, and then Celeborn was in Aragon, and then Galadriel and Galadriel was in Ladris, and so yeah, there was a lot of back and forth in this age. So I mean, not that it wasn't an enjoyable chapter, it was an enjoyable little sidetracked. But I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to talk about it?
This story, trying to figure out if they would include this story in the Rings of Power, because it is mentioned, because,
it's in the Tale of Years.
Yeah. So, but would they want this to be their Beren and Luthien? Because they don't have access to Beren and Luthien, right?
No, that's why they're doing the two made-up characters, the Sylvan Elf and the Single Mom.
All right.
Because
this would have been better than that.
I know, but these people are both elves. They want to recycle the human-elf relationship.
Oh my God. The forbidden love that's not forbidden anymore because apparently everyone's doing it now.
Yeah. Beren and Luthien did it before it was cool. That sounded weird. And of course, but I will say in here, this is when Elrond and Celebrian were wed. So it was 109 years after the War of Wrath. Dear God in heaven, what a long courtship. I feel sorry for those two.
Why would they, I get that, elves have a long lifespan, they don't really ever die, but 100-something years for courtship?
No, they were courting for, almost 1,000 years.
Oh my God, wow.
Again, my headcanon is that Elrond was too shy to make any moves. So
yeah, he had to have been. He had to have been.
Why would you not want to?
Oh, yeah.
So in any case, yeah. So I mean, we're not going to really go over this little chapter too much because, again, not that it wasn't interesting. It was, and it was interesting to see how it tied into Legolas's story. Legolas was mentioned quite a bit here in the last little bit, but the next section was the LSR, which I found super. Elrond was playing hard to get.
Oh, I keep forgetting to take a sip of something whenever you say Elrond.
I know. You know what? I have to show off because I'm so proud of myself for figuring out how to do this. Look what I have, guys. When you guys give me a super chat,
You should have stayed dead.
Oh, I love it.
I have clips now, and I'm super proud of myself. Figured out how to make them. Super frustrating getting there, but I did figure out how to make them. So, anyways, and I have lots of them. I have lots of clips from several different movies. I'm super proud of myself. So, anyways, the LSR. So, in the movie, if you guys remember, hold on 1 second.
I guess I'm gonna.
So in Jackson's. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't read you. Sorry.
I was thinking that you were gonna walk away. I was like, oh, I need to have words. So the LSR, if you guys remember, in the movies they don't hit on it as much. I think they should have hit on it more. But in the books, one of Aragorn's other names is Elisar, and this is the reference that like it goes back to is a very cool rock. Yeah. For science, I'm sure.
That is none of your business. Keep your nose out of it, sir. I have him right back there. I need to watch that clip. It's him from the prologue. Anyways, so in the movie, you'll remember that we have the Even Star. Mm-hmm. So this actually took the place of the stone LSR, which this is so pretty. I can't fault Jackson for coming out with like a different piece of jewelry to represent the LSR. But the LSR was in the books was made by Fëanor. It was made by Fëanor in Valinor. Mm-hmm. It was a very pale green stone that was set in a brooch in the likeness of a silver eagle. And it had the power to help trees grow. It just had the power of like growth, I guess is the best way to put it. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. And it was passed down through the Noldor until it came to Elrond's father, which again is one of those names I just can't retain. And he was wearing it on his breast when he boarded the ship to go to Valinor to ask the Valinor for help against the War of Morgoth. So it disappeared from Middle Earth. But Arandiel, I think, I don't know. I get it confused with the names from Numenor.
Yeah, it was Arandiel. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Arandiel. Thank you. And so Galadriel was really sad about this fact that she'd lost that jewel. And what's interesting is that like there's this like kind of play that we'll get into also in the Disaster of Gladden Fields that like once there was at one point there would be like one really great jewel that would do something fantastic, and then there would be like a lesser version of that made. And Celeborn, Galadriel was like super sad that she lost that this jewel was lost, that it wasn't there on Middle Earth to help her like heal the hurts of Middle Earth. And Celeborn actually made her another one. Okay, I'm gonna say this once. You're not allowed to come in here and derail our stream. Like, you're fine. You are entitled to your opinion, but it's in the Silmarillion. Like, you can't change that. It's literally written down. If you and the Thad that shouldn't be would like to talk about this in my comment section on my video, you are more than welcome to. I'm not going to stop anybody. We are talking about something different. And thank you for being here, but we're talking about something different. Okay? And I'm going to ask my chat, please leave this person alone. They're entitled to their wrong opinion, but it's literally written down in the Silmarillion in this chapter. So I literally don't know what to tell you. If you don't believe that the Silmarillion was written by Tolkien, then that's on you, not on me. But so Thad, you guys can go at it in my comment section, not in my chat, because I don't want my stream. You've already redebuilt my stream. I'm not going to have it. Chat, leave him alone. Anyways,
let's get this train back on the choo-choo tracks. Choo-choo.
And yes, now we're getting back. what was interesting is that this is the only place that we get indication that Celeborn loved Galadriel. I had that so screwed up in my head. It was actually Feanor who asked for her hair. It wasn't Celeborn, but this is like
Yeah. Well, I mean, they both loved her, quote unquote. I mean, it was one of those things where Feanor was creepy with his love.
Yeah, Feanor was weird. Feanor was just strange. He was a weird dude.
And then Celebrimbor's like, I know that your heart belongs to another, but I still love you. Here you go. At least he was upfront and honest. He wasn't creepy about it.
Very respectful about her love for Celeborn. And so like he made her a lesser version of that stone, but then he made her Ninya. And this is and so what's interesting also in this, and this is the first instance that we really get in here of Gandalf and Galadriel talking, is that Gandalf actually brought the LSR back from Valinor and gave it to Galadriel.
Which also confirms my headcanon theory that before Galadriel met her husband, Celeborn, that her and Gandalf, when they were in Valinor, actually had a thing. I think they had a thing. I think they had a thing because there's like little breadcrumbs, little trails that you can just be like, they were very close. Ooh.
Maybe.
So this is one of my things, my little head.
That is, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But he definitely was close with her, and you can tell that they had a strong friendship. And I just love that he she was like, there's no hope for Middle Earth. How can I heal anything? And then Gandalf is like, what would you want if you could heal Middle Earth? And she's like, the LSR. And he's like, here you go.
It's just like, oh, you mean this old thing? Here you go.
Exactly. But what I love is also that like once she had Nenya, she gave the LSR to Celebrian.
LSR. Oh, Celebrian, yeah.
So, and then Celebrian gave it to Arwen, and then Arwen gave it back to Galadriel, and that's how it fulfilled. That's how it fulfilled the prophecy that like one who would be called Elessar would come forward and have this gem. So in the part Farewell to Lorien, I believe it was, when everyone was getting their gifts, she gave that stone to Aragorn, and it was a healing stone. Like it could heal him. It didn't just heal the land; it could heal people as well. It like literally kept them safe. And I think that I could be totally wrong in that. If you can correct me, I would appreciate it. But I believe that like it's written somewhere, and I could also be making this up, it's entirely possible, that it was because Celebrian didn't have the LSR that's why she didn't heal from. That's why like the hurts that the orcs did her was so severe. But I could be totally wrong, but I feel like at some point Tolkien did say if she'd had the LSR, her wounds wouldn't have been so terrible. But I could be wrong.
That sounds right. Sounds right.
I feel like I've read that somewhere. But regardless of that, that stone did fulfill a prophecy that one would come forward who would lead Gondor again, and that was Aragorn. And he did have. So it's interesting. He had the stone of healing, and then he also got this, because remember in the books he's got Anduil. He's got the scabbard that like she enchanted, and it literally will never break again. Like that scabbard was so his gifts were incredible. So anyways, yeah,
and he still had the ring of Bedahir at that time, right? So he had almost everything to quote unquote solidify his authority as king of Gondor and Arnor.
All right, you are slightly crossing the stories involving the elf stone that Celebrian gave to Arnor. Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Dad. I'm not making personal attacks, dude. You're the one who's ignoring what's written down. And this, one more comment, and yeah, Salty Jack him, or Roman if you want to, because you're derailing things. So go ahead and say whatever you want to say, and then let's move on to the appendices.
Well, also, like, I'm trying to think. Oh, remember this part? It's that. Am I skipping ahead? No, I'm not. And the notes after that story of the Elisar, did we talk about this last week where Sauron deliberately took the form of the Astari in preparation for the wizards coming? Did we talk about that last week? Because that was part of like the notes at the end of that. Okay.
Yes,
sorry.
I think we did. I know.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I think we've gone over all this. But yes, I believe that Sauron knew that they were coming, so he did. He took their form.
Okay. I'm just thinking, like, I was reading a little bit ahead from that part and the notes and stuff. And then we talk about the Sylvan Elves and their speech. for people who's like, yeah, we're writing the book that Tolkien never wrote. Like, dude, he spent chapter upon chapter upon chapter writing just how their languages were.
Well, and at the end of the disaster of the Gladden Fields, we get a whole breakdown of how leagues work. And I was like, I barely know what a mile is, and I'm glad I know what a yard is. I don't need to know what an Elven or a Numenorian league is.
Yeah, he goes into the forms of measurement that the elves would have used.
Good Lord. It's like the stride that a man takes. And I'm like, okay, but what if the men aren't all the same height? Does that make it? I was like, what? Yeah, so anyway.
Why do we need to know how the elves measure? Well, I mean, I guess it is important for figuring out how big Middle Earth is and like the
distance they have to travel.
Yeah, because like sometimes it doesn't, like you the way the movies, and I get that they had to shorten things, the way that the movies portray the travel of the Fellowship, it's like, oh, they only traveled for a few days here and there. I guess Middle Earth is tiny. Like, nah, man. Middle Earth is huge, even though it's literally like a third of the size it used to be.
Yeah. Well, and someone did like that overlay of a map of the United States with the same treks that Bilbo took and Frodo took. I think like they started in Wyoming and he went all the way down to like Florida and back up. Like, that's a huge trek to take.
It's just one of those things where I feel like in the movies it did not properly portray the amount that they had to travel.
Totally. I agree. I absolutely agree. So let's go into the appendices. So Appendix A, it's just like, it's their language, which again, it's like some of this I'm just like, okay, barely understand this. I need to go back and reread and several times and deeply absorb. What I want to go over is the Sindarian princes and the Sylvan elves, because this is where we get a lot of Thranduil. We got so much more Thranduil in this.
And it helps you understand like Thranduil's background. Like,
yeah,
because some people, he just shows up in The Hobbit and you're like, who the heck is that?
Yeah, no, I read that. Gosh, I don't even know how many years again. It's on my bookshelf. I'm definitely going to reread it because I definitely want to dive back into that. I read it ages ago. I love Carpenter's work.
Maybe we can do kind of like, I don't know if a review is what it would be called, but like one of our literary soul sisters when we're done with the history of Middle Earth, and maybe when the Rings of Prime show up, we can maybe go over the biography of Humphrey Carpenter, because I also have the book, and I think I've read it probably more recently than you have. But I have it on Kindle form. Oh, sorry. Train is about to go off the tracks again, but this is something that I noticed. So I recently, I have a Kindle, I have Audible, blah, blah, blah. So I recently was looking up the Lord of the Rings on Kindle, because I don't have that on Kindle. I used to check them out at the library. This is actually my only physical copy. But something that will frustrate every single one of you is on the Kindle when you download the version of Rings, the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, I think it was, the new covers are on the Kindle version. Like they have those new covers on them. Like,
Lovely. Well,
yeah.
that's
So
great.
they're already changing the Kindle form of the covers of the original Lord of the Rings. So just letting you guys know. Buy from Alaja's link or go to your local bookstore and get a physical copy because they are already trying to change the digital copies of the books. They already are.
Lovely.
So that was just something I forgot about till just this very moment. And sorry, I had to. Yeah.
Part of the reason we need to know how the elves measured stuff was because Tolkien was very chill. Tell me about it. Another part is the gimmick all about being translated of the Red Book of Westmarch. Yep. Good morning, Zax. Thank you. Real quickly, I have a donation from Silverlock for $5. Sorry, I gotta go, but keep up the good work. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And for you, I will give you this. Love that part. So
he literally learned the language so he could do that, man.
Right?
That's dedication.
God, so dedicated. So this, so going back to the Cenarian princes of the Sylvan Elves, Thranduil's characterization, because I always, again, didn't know a whole lot about Thranduil, and so the Hobbit I found to be I was like, what are they doing to him? Is this wokeness? Like, why are they making him like this? And now after reading this, I'm like, oh no, this is totally in keeping with Thranduil's characterization. This is who Thranduil is. Sorry, chat. So Thranduil and his father, man, they were a bunch of stubborn men. Like these guys were, they were stubborn. Like Gilgalad was like, get under my banner and we will charge together. And Orifir's like, no.
Like I feel like for all of the crap that I don't remember if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. All of the stuff that the elves or all of the stuff that we fault men for in Middle Earth, I feel like they learned it from the elves. Like the stubbornness, the pridefulness, like y'all, like they were like, of course, imitation is, like we said earlier, is the highest form of flattery. The men were just copying the elves and their freaking like pridefulness and stuff. Like it's crazy.
So we get an Elrond clip. Do we have to drink? If you have a jug of water next to you, Shieldwall, you are more than welcome to drink. Please drink non-alcoholic things in the morning, this early in the morning. Men stubborn, nah. I haven't you been watching modern media these days? Oh, let's not go down that road. So the whole point of like these appendices, and what I really appreciate about these appendices actually is just how important, and this is the only appendix I want to go on over, is just how important Greenwood the Great was, and how important Thranduil and like those branch of the elves were. They were actually really important, and I'm gonna own up to it. I did not realize that. I thought they were just like kind of hiding out in Thranduil's cave and like not doing a whole lot. But there is a point in here. That after the War of the Ring and his father Orifir does die, Thranduil, and because of his father's stubbornness to like go his own way, he loses a lot of his kin and the Sylvan elves that he is king over. When Thranduil returned, he says, but there was in Thranduil's heart a still deeper shadow. He had seen the horror of Mordor and could not forget it. If he ever looked south, its memory dimmed the light of the sun. And though he knew that it was now broken and deserted and under the vigilance of the kings of men, fear spoke in his heart that it was not conquered forever and it would rise again. And that moment in Lorien when Legolas is holding the elf and the orc is like, the shadow is returning. The fires of war are returning. I can't remember that guy's name, but he like has this look on his face, like this dawning horror. That made so much more sense in light of this. That like Thranduil knew it was coming. Like he had just seen too much death and destruction. Like that was like, now that I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was good characterization.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, darling. How are you?
Hi, Wicked.
So, so this was I really enjoyed this appendix because I never realized just how important Thranduil and his people were.
Well, I feel like there was no people group untouched besides maybe the hobbits, which were not in existence yet. Like no people group was not touched by the taint of Morgoth and Sauron.
Yeah.
Like it trying to formulate words. The depth of despair and darkness and destruction that all of the peoples of Middle-earth went through, from the War of the Wrath, the War of the Last Alliance, the War of the Rings, like all of that, like it deeply affected every single creature in Middle-earth. Because I mean, if you just look at the basic like top level view of it, it completely changed Middle-earth in the fact that it was a flat plane and now it's round. Like that's a very like that's the level of taint, I guess, that Middle-earth had, or trying to formulate words. Just the level of destruction that Morgoth and Sauron wrought upon all of Middle-earth, that it physically changed the form of the earth. Right?
Yeah. That's because PJ knew what he was doing and he loved Tolkien and shared characters. Yep, absolutely. And it's sad, like when the Hobbits came out, I saw the first Hobbit in theater and I never saw any of the others. I never saw Rogue One in theaters. Like during that time of my life was like a super dark period. And I only started finding like myself and my nerdiness again when I was about like 27, 28. And it's because of the Fellowship that I actually have like even gotten back into be like fully me again. So, I wish that I had known that going in, because when I saw those movies, I was like, what is this? What is going on? And I wish I had read this before I saw the movies, because again, Thranduil just makes so much more sense now. Like that he's stubborn. He has, it seems like him and Celeborn have a good working relationship, but like Orophyr and Thranduil literally moved their kingdom further and further. I'm not good with directions. Whatever. It was away from Lorien because like Lorien was encroaching on Greenwood the Great, and him and we're like, yeah, we don't like you, and we're moving. I thought like, they're stubborn.
It also makes sense because like they know about the Noldorian elves and what they did. They're like, I don't want anything to do with you or your people or anyone associated with your people, because we know what you did.
Yep. That makes you understand Elrond saying men are weak, because he sees the same stubbornness in men that elves had. Yep, and he's part of the Noldor, so he understands exactly what his race has done.
There's a gold medal for pridefulness. The Noldor would win.
I know this is a controversial take, but I think Elrond. Oh, really? I think he was perfect, but that's okay, Rosie. Don't. Yeah, I've heard other people say that, so no worries. All right, so let's move on. So yeah, this was an interesting appendix. I really enjoyed it for all it was incredibly tiny. The port of whatever. Just again talks about the port that was set up by Alderion, and okay, I will say this very quickly. It is interesting that Alderion in Numenor was rebuilding the forests to supplant the timber that he was using for the ships. When he came to Middle-earth, however, it was a whole other story. He was just chopping down. Oh, okay, hold on. No. I have to go over this because this is something Nerd has brought up. And this would have been interesting for Amazon to explore. So he says that the Numenorians were chopping down these trees in Middle-earth to build for the ports and for their ships. But the men that were living there hated them because they weren't replanting trees. They were just like going in and mowing it all down. And that these men fled and actually sided with Sauron because they hated the Numenorians so much, because they literally came in and destroyed all of their homes because they needed their trees. That would have been interesting to say, like, the Numenorians are not like these squeaky clean people. Like, they're not perfect, what human is. That would have been super interesting for Amazon to play on if they'd done it correctly, to like see how the Numenorians made mistakes and like they created some of their own woes. That was fascinating.
Yes, absolutely. I thought so too. Just the like I feel like that Aldarion, whatever, Aldarion, like he did, like, for all of the good he did, he also messed up royally, and I feel like some of his mistakes actually overshadow a lot of his good stuff that he did, because he did it in a wrong way. Like, you know, cutting down the trees in Middle Earth, like, he should have been like, hey, people who are already living here, I need to chop down these trees for stuff. Would you help me replant? Would you help? Like, if he had given it two thoughts other than, I love the sea and I must sail.
Yeah.
Like, his only thing was, I must sail and be on the sea and I love the sea. It's like,
well, and the fact that
one-track mind.
The fact that he was supplanting the trees in Numenor and not in Middle Earth, I think should tell you that he did not think highly of the people of Middle Earth. That he cared enough to supplant their trees.
Well, I think the only because I forget, but the only reason he started replanting was because of his wife, right?
Yeah.
Or his father?
Well,
like, he was told to.
I think he was told to, and then he realized the necessity of it, and then he just gave up. Yeah. So I don't know. It was interesting. It was interesting little mention there that like that was been so. If you don't want to paint the Numenorians as like the bestest ever, whatever, that would have been interesting to plan. But again, they have access to this, so matters not. All right, on to the disaster of the Gladden Fields we go. So for those who don't know, this is the start of the Third Age in this book. This is after the War of the Ring, when Isildur is going back to Rivendell to get his youngest son, where he is beset by orcs, and this is where we lose the One Ring. And he's killed outside the Gladden Fields. So, I don't know. You know, I was actually shocked about this. Is a really tiny short story. The amount of discursive notes that Christopher had to put in here actually outweigh the story itself. I was like, why didn't you just put the notes in the story?
I know. I was like going through the notes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, there are more notes than there is.
There is story, yeah. But you know, it's funny. I mean, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but it's not funny. It's sad that Isildur here at the end realized his pride in not listening to Círdan and Elrond to destroy the ring, and that he literally watched all three of his oldest sons die in front of him. It was sad.
And the whole company of men with him.
Yep, 200 men. Literally, the only person that got out was his esquire. It was a young boy who got like hit over the head, and he got stunned. And they found him later, and he was like, "That's literally this esquire is the only reason we even know that this happened, because his body was never found."
Right, and people, this story is kind of what is assumed based on the evidence that the elves had when they went and tried to help Isildur, is that they were overrun by orcs. He ran with the ring on, went into a river, got lost in or took off his like the sword and like his chainmail and stuff. He took it off to go swimming to try and escape these orcs, and then the assumption is in the story is that he more or less drowned because the orcs found him.
Yeah,
because they knew that orcs were camped out on the edge of that river.
And there was like a settlement of men right there who knew that these orcs were there, and they tried to get there, but they unfortunately didn't. They didn't. And you know what? Like, what the biggest takeaway that I got from this very brief little story Which again, I mean, like on the audiobook, it was an hour long. And then I realized that's because the notes were just so extensive on this. It's 3 pages long. This story was 3 pages long. Yes, he did. So he gave it to, well, it's not his page. And in here, it's called, his name is Ortar. It means soldier in, I believe, Quenya. It could be Sindarian. I can't remember. It's not the same rank as knight, but in the note, Christopher says that like there's some confusion if that was a rank or that was this guy's name, but that he was very close to Isildur, and that's why he entrusted him with the shards of Narsil. Rereading this made me wonder, those immediate family who had worse lives, Hador or Elendil, of all their kids and grandkids experienced great tragedy. That is accurate. Oh, I would not want to do a toss-up between who had a worse
family
experience.
history.
Oh man, both those families. God, talking about being put through the ringer.
But they also did a lot of it to themselves at the end of the day.
This is true. They brought a lot of misery on themselves.
Which is like kind of I guess where where story or art matches real life. I feel like us as humankind, like most of the troubles we bring upon ourselves.
Most of the storms we make of our own making. So, anywho, oh hi Bob, hello, how is everyone? I'm super late. Sorry, no worries, Bob. Absolutely, no worries. Also, on the note of Amazon, Amazoth is explicitly stated that Isildur had 4 sons, no daughters. Yes.
Yep.
That is true. No daughters.
Yep.
There are no daughters. 17 years after Bilbo left, he was reading up on it before Bilbo was buried, around 20 years. Do you mean in the Red Book of West March? Is that what you're talking about?
She's answering a question about how long it took Gandalf to research the info.
Okay.
Yeah, Shieldwall asked earlier how long it took Gandalf. You okay?
Yeah, I inhaled. Sorry.
How long it took Gandalf to research the info about the loss of the ring, and he was guesstimating 20 years. So 17 years.
Okay. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you. I did not see that question at all. So, what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say. Oh, that, why am I shocked about this? The One Ring was not like some known about thing. Like literally the only people who knew about it were like the Rings Bearers themselves, the Ring Wraiths, and Sauron. His company of men did not know about this ring. None of them did. I was under this misconception that the ring was like this open secret and everyone knew about it, but they didn't.
Yeah, they had no idea. They just assumed Isildur was the person Isildur had always been. And another thing on that note, I feel like Peter Jackson portrayed Isildur. There's that whole end where Isildur looks evil when he takes the ring. I feel like is not quite a mischaracterization of his character, but we don't understand how good of a person Isildur is based on just that little bit that we get in the movie and some of it. Like Isildur was actually a really great guy, and it goes to show even good people can be corrupted by this evil thing. And I don't think like people understand that. They just assume, oh, Isildur was always out for himself. Like whenever I first watched a movie, that was my thing. I was like, oh, Isildur is not a great person. But then you go to read some of his great deeds and the things that he did. Isildur was a great king, and he lost his father, his brother, and a lot of people that were close to him in this war. Like he was broken, but he was still good. He just made a bad decision.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I always wanted a movie TV show about Gandalf and Minas Tirith hanging out with young Faramir and Boromir. And yep, Gandalf spent more time with Faramir than Frodo, if you think about it. Yeah, and that's why Denethor called him his wizard's pupil. There was an upcoming chapter called The Hunt for the Ring and the Unfinished Tales. I believe our literary soul sisters yes, we will be.
Yes.
I tend to think of Isildur as the same group as Boromir, great men corrupted. Yeah, and again, like he was the helper. Like he wanted to help his people. And he took a tumble, unfortunately. So yeah, absolutely. Elrond, Isildur were among those pretty radically changed by PJ in the movies. Power corrupts, absolute power. Yep. He made Isildur less likable because he wanted to contrast with Aragorn. He knew it wasn't. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
I know,
but that was just one of my things. Like,
yeah,
I think that's a misconception that a lot of, just if you only have watched the movies and you don't like, you haven't read the books or anything, like a lot of people assume that. So
yeah, Boromir was a good man. Yes, he was, Jacob. Boromir was a very good man. He was a very, very good man. So yeah, I don't know. Like, is there anything else I don't like this. This was just a shockingly short chapter. I should have paid closer attention when we were picking this week's readings, because just the notes on this were so extensive. And again, after so they were like literal. So Isildur, when they were waylaid by the orcs, he was like, if we can get to Thranduil's realm, we'll be safe. Again, tells you how important Thranduil was in the grand scheme of things. Like, he was really important. This road that ran between, I can't remember where they were in the north, to Thranduil's realm was well kept and well maintained. Thranduil was really important, and I'm ashamed of myself for not realizing that. But he was like, we have to get to Thranduil's realm. We have to if we're going to be safe. We can't get to Rivendell. So yeah, I thought, again, just show, and then it was Thranduil who showed up after they'd all been killed to search the bodies. It was him and his people.
because that's where he sent his squire, like, run to Thranduil's, like take everything to him. So Thranduil had the shards, and then I guess gave them to Elrond.
He must have, because I'm So,
wow. See, this is the stuff, like, we don't get, like, Thranduil is just this character that's mentioned a few times. It's like, you don't understand the importance of this character until you read stuff like this.
Yeah, he wasn't just hiding out in his caves. He was doing a lot, man. Taking care of things.
And also, just understanding the depth of betrayal the elves felt from the dwarves, like, it helps put all of the actions that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's this trope that dwarves and elves hate each other. And people just assume that Tolkien was writing on that trope of, well, just dwarves and elves hate each other and blah blah blah. No, there's a good reason. There's a very good reason why the elves dislike the dwarves. The dwarves betrayed them, like, not just once.
Well, and a lot of what you have to understand is a lot of Thranduil's people are from Doriath. Like, after Doriath fell, like, they all kind of split off. Some went with the Noldor till Gil-galad, and then some went other places. And a lot of them ended up clumping together with Thranduil's people and the Green Elves, which are like Tauriel's people, who are considered a little less couth. They're not as wise. There's that famous line from The Hobbit that they are more dangerous and less wise, and that Thranduil was basically he's their king. And they didn't, like, those elves who came with him from Doriath were like, we do not want to be anywhere near Moria, but they also obviously have an issue with Lorien. So they they went out of their way to get as far away from the dwarves as they could. And then here come 13 dwarves tramping through there. So, like, his detest of Thorin, it makes even more sense.
Because he is part of the line of Durin. Vardar. He asked a question, and it's not this one.
Is it up
the next one?
Next one? What am I missing? This one?
There you go.
Oh, did Tolkien
did Tolkien start the trope of elves hating dwarves, or did it exist before?
I think it existed before.
I've never read anything. Well, I'm trying to think, because a lot of people credit Tolkien as the kind of origin of, like, the high fantasy that we know today. Like, of course, there was high fantasy before Tolkien, but he based this off of fairy tales, like, not fairy tales in that we know them, but, like,
I know that he radically changed how dwarves are perceived.
Yes. Because the understanding of dwarves before this was dwarves were not good. They were evil.
Yeah.
Or evil aligned.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you D&D people. I feel like,
I mean, is Thad still here? Could you throw in your 2 cents? I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, he threw it. Just as you asked that question, he threw it in there.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
In Germanic mythology, where dwarves and elves came from, it's not even arguable if elves and dwarves are actually different species. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I think Tolkien may have started it some way. So from my understanding, essentially neutral. So from my understanding towards, oh my god, I can't read today. From my understanding towards we're essentially neutral to malevolence, but very much caps sell. There were some stories in Eastern Europe with these kids.
I have a feeling that was speech to text. I feel like something got lost in translation right there.
I think so too. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Salty. I'm gonna say that I think he maybe didn't like start it, but he made it popular, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I think he popularized it.
Yeah,
because the light and dark elves, the light and dark elves, like that's not what you think it is. It's like literally people who live in the light and people who don't have wisdom. Like that's no, you're Salty. Keep your hands on the wheel, sir. I will send you I will send you my 3rd grade voice text again if you.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on which mythology you come from, which something to consider. Elves, dwarves, and all of these fairies tales weren't all completely Germanic and Norse. Like there are like tales in different areas of the world that do touch on similar. They might not call them the same thing, but a lot of their characteristics are very similar. Like in Japanese mythology, there are these like kind of like a Jen character, where they're just kind of floaty. They have like there's nothing new under the sun, but anyway.
Well, and like the story of Etan from Irish mythology is not, I mean, you can see like kind of remnants of her story in Elrond's mother's story. Etan turns into a butterfly and then comes back, so yeah, there's a lot. I'm not terribly familiar with like mythology, especially when it comes to like fairies and elves and that's not my thing. But like, yeah, I mean, you can definitely see like, if not like direct drawing from, definitely like how, I mean, people are creative. Like people write their mythologies. You can definitely see similar tropes. Tolkien took a lot of different literary sources from after the Viking Age and added flavor to make the dwarves distinct, but I get the impression Tolkien wanted to do a lot more work on the dwarves.
He did, with my understanding, because I remember that conversation I think you and I have had on one of our episodes about how Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, mind you, despised how the dwarves were portrayed in Snow White. They went and actually saw the movie and they were like, that is wrong. We dislike you. You are a bad person, more or less, is what they said to Walt Disney when they saw that movie.
Hey, sweetheart, no worries. I know that one of the dwarves in Norse mythology turned into a dragon due to greed of gold. Yep, and that actually happened also in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I won't spoil it more than that. Thanks. I know about his use of mythologies, and Norse had dwarves closer to what Tolkien created, but was interested to discuss. Yeah, absolutely. Never hesitate to throw us questions. Absolutely. Because Abinas, hello, beautiful ladies popping in for a bit. I'm running errands out here, so happy to see you both rocking the spot. Thank you so much, Abinas, for popping in. Enjoy running your errands. That's why Tolkien never wanted Disney in the
Heck yes.
Out there.
Yeah. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, mind you, because people keep forgetting that they were like besties. They did everything together for a while. Yeah, in a non-weird way. I just realized how that might have sounded. I'm sorry. But yeah, like one of the things with the literary soul sisters is, yes, right now we're going through Tolkien's mythos and the 13 histories of Middle Earth and stuff, but we also want to touch on a lot of other things, like it's literary soul sisters, not Tolkien soul sisters.
Yeah.
So like we also want to touch on vast amounts of other literature and works of art. It's just right now this is the most pertinent thing.
Yeah. In Germanic mythology, the only difference between light elves and dark elves is where they lived. The light elves lived in something and served the god Frey. Okay, cool. Thank you again. Thank you. That you guys, you teach me something every go away. It was kind of a
I'm nothing that I've read suggests that shield wall. It's actually quite the opposite. He only actually got married out of necessity. We're gonna go on this slight C.S. Lewis rant. My apologies.
All right. Can you go on your slight C.S. Lewis rant while I run to the ladies' room?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Vamp. I'll be back.
I get to go on a C.S. Lewis rant, guys. Yay! Okay, so there are assumptions and rumors, and these are very unplaced rumors about C.S. Lewis's, I guess, sexual preference or whatever. C.S. Lewis had a friend, a war buddy, when he was in World War I, who asked him, they all made this pact saying, hey, if I die, if you die or whatever, take care of my family, take care of my mom. One of his particular friends, take care of my mom and my sister. Well, that person unfortunately did die in the war. He took that dude's mom and sister into his house. There are historians and scholars who assumed that the mother of one of his best friends who was staying in his house and C.S. Lewis had some sort of relationship. And of course, people during that time, wide rumors were going about, and we will catch up on the chat, guys. My apologies. So it's because C.S. Lewis referred to her as his mother, and because his mother was very dear to him as a child. His mother died very young. He was raised in a monastery by a monk. There were also people who assumed that he was gay because he loved this priest who took him and his brother in when they were orphans, or kind of orphans, because his mother died kind of at a younger age. Sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, but more or less, because when C.S. Lewis was older, he did everything with his best friend's mom. That's kind of where these rumors came about, is that he was quote unquote a horn dog, and there's nothing really founded on this. He only got married to somebody out of wanting to help them. He didn't actually marry really for love. Later on, it kind of turned into love, but that's not the reason why he got married in the first place. So that's where kind of some of these weird rumors happen. But no, C.S. Lewis was he should have been a monk and all.
Yeah, he should have been a monk.
Yeah. And the chat's been going wild. And I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't have the option to highlight chat while I'm.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Jared. Thank you for being here. Hi, darling. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I think it's afternoon where you are. Thank you. You can think of the light elves living in that place as maybe where Tolkien derived the ideas of the elves living in Valinor, where those are the light elves in Tolkien. Correct. Yes, I have heard that before. I'm on the road right now. It is hot. Hello, Randy. Good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. Good to see you as well. Thank you for being here. Okay, so all right. So we've gone our rant. My hind teeth are not floating anymore. I feel better. So let's get back on the road, unless we have any other questions. But I forgot about Elvishness.
11ness.
11ness. That's why I'm so hungry. Girl, you and me both. I'm hungry. Need to get food after this. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that we want to cover? Like, is there anything
I'm sorry, my
specific?
brain's on C.S. Lewis now. I'm just like,
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Switch.
I found one of C.S. Lewis's books at the thrift store the other day. I can't remember what it's called, but it's all about mythology and like how people rewrite mythology or something.
Yes.
So anyways, is there anything specific from this very tiny little retelling of Isildur's fall that you want to go over?
I guess we could talk about how we think they're going to adapt, quote unquote, this story into the Rings of Power, because this is going to happen. They have the rights to this particular story.
But it's a third age. Do you think they'll end on it?
That's right, it is third age, but it's like year 2 of the third age. Well, they're going to go over Isildur's legacy, because he was one of the last people born on Numenor, so that's second age.
No. Narsil, how to get from Isildur to Elrond. All right, good question. We probably didn't make that clear. So when he is after 2 years after Sauron is fallen, Isildur is on his way back to Rivendell, where his wife and youngest son, so he has 4 sons, they were waiting for the War of the Ring to be decided. And he has the one ring, and he has the shards of Narsil. When they're beset, so he gives them to this soldier, who were kind of unclear if his name was meant soldier in Elvish or if it was his name. And this guy ran to Thranduil's court, and the assumption that we're running off of is that Thranduil then gave it to Elrond. So I was like, who is it? Hold on. The rumor is that Amazov's crap show will end with the War of the Last Alliance. Interesting. So we'll see. They
will talk about that.
They'll touch on it. Yeah. So we'll see Gil-galad fall, which is gonna make me sad. Well, no, it won't. Hi Mando and hi Phil. Thank you for being here. I wonder if Jay and Tabitha have ended their painting stream. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because that looked interesting. So does that answer you, Rosie? Does that answer? That's how Narsil got from point A to point B. Does that make sense to you?
That's the assumption that we have.
It's an assumption.
Because I don't think it's really. It was just kind of implied.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
It's implied that like this guy who has the shards is running towards Thranduil's court because it's like literally the only place of refuge that they have at this moment in time. And they were on the way to Thranduil's court anyways. Like that's where they were going to stop before they went to Rivendell. So I don't think it's a leap to say that if he got to Thranduil's court, it was then Thranduil who then got it to Rivendell. I wouldn't say they'll adapt it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, or they could just, there could be something else written down where that story didn't actually happen. It could have changed. We don't know.
Exactly.
There's probably a note somewhere that's like, no, this is.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You are welcome, my dear. They're still alive at the moment, but I wanted to come here and support you, Missy. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that.
Did you highlight Bob's message? Sorry. Or
this one?
Was that okay? Yeah. So for those of you wondering, because it's been asked a couple times, this symbol, I would turn around and show you. It's actually when I used to do Krav Maga. For those of you that don't know what Krav Maga is, it's Israeli Special Forces martial arts. So that's what this shirt is for. That's when I used to do that. But yeah, it's a really cool symbol. It's Hebrew. I don't remember exactly what they told me what the symbol actually meant, but it's Hebrew.
Cool. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So yeah. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Is it in a note or is it in that after, I think it's this last little bit, the sources on the legend of Isildur's death, that this is where okay, yeah, it's this last little part starting on 284 that Aragorn, when he like after things had settled from the destruction of the One Ring, that they went to Orthanc and they found like so much stuff. They found so much stuff. And what?
Yeah, because Saruman was hoarding.
He was a jackdaw. He was a jackdaw. I love that.
Yes. He's just hoarding stuff.
Thank you for being here, JT. Nice to see you. He was just like.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because he was trying to undermine Sauron in his own evil, twisted way, but he was actually helping Sauron, to be honest.
Couldn't make up his mind. But they found again, there's this like gem. It's like they're just Tolkien's like, here's another important gem. Oh, by the way, it got lost. And then there's another one. Oh, by the way, it got lost. There's so many gems that are so important. But this same gem, like, so they find in a secret vault, and I just love that Gimli is helping Aragorn go through Orthanc. It just makes me so happy. But they're going through Orthanc, and Gimli's with Aragorn, and they wouldn't have found this room if it hadn't been for Gimli. On a shelf, they find, remember in the prologue, he has the One Ring on a chain. They find the chain and the leather wallet that would have housed the ring. And then they find the Elendiralamir. It's a stone. Okay, so if we go back to Tar Alandir's story, you remember when he came back from Middle Earth and he was like officially ready to commit to I can't remember her name. He brought her back a
person
gem.
Who needs therapy.
Yeah, they both do. Brought back a gem, and she had it set in mithril and put it upon her brow, and she was called the Silver-Haired Lady, I believe is what it was. That same gem was saved when Numenor fell, and this is the same gem that Isildur was wearing. There's so many vowel names in this story, I can't keep them straight. When he put on the One Ring, and actually it like flashed like the sun when he put the One Ring on, and he had to pull his hood up to cover his face so that the orcs wouldn't see him. And they found that same stone in Orthanc, which I thought that was fascinating.
But nobody was ever able to find Isildur's body. But there are some who speculate that Saruman found it and burned it.
Yeah, he found Isildur's body and desecrated it, which is gross. The worst is the Ring of Badahir. I hate that story so much. It's almost as bad as somehow Pulpitude and Northrend. I know. It's congratulations on 3 episodes, by the way. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Phil gave me my final.
You're gonna get monetized like in the next few months. It's gonna happen.
I gotta get those. I gotta make more content so I can get my watch hours up. That's what I need to do.
Me too. You're not the only.
It's my watch hours that I'm worried about. What was I saying? Oh yeah, thank you. I will do a celebration stream when I hit 500. I don't want to like be egotistical and celebrate every 100-mile mark, but thank you. And thank you to Phil. Phil gave me a shout out completely of his own accord yesterday, and I really appreciate it. So shout out to Phil. He put me over the edge. So sorry, I had to double check the book because the movie dialogue is more in my head now. The Council of Elrond says that Orthtar. Oh, okay, brought the shards of Narsil to Valandil in Rivendell. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, but I mean, Thranduil was helping. Like he did get to the Gladden Fields and go over through the body. So, okay. I muted Johnny when you were on. Did you tell him that? Oh, that's so funny. Thank you, Jared. I really appreciate that.
See, Leja, you're gonna get monetized in the next couple of months. See,
thank you,
I'm telling you.
It. Thank you. Phil is cool. Phil is one of the good ones. Phil is good cool, people. Yeah. Yes, you both need to get more appearances to tell on to other people's streams. Oh, we're getting there, Shield Wall. We're getting there.
Thank you.
Yes. I wouldn't know how to say Thad's name if it weren't for Salty.
The that shouldn't be. Yes, I got it.
You got it. Well done. Well said. So yeah, and then there's also like this part where Aragorn might have given this stone to Sam, and I thought it was so funny. Christopher in the notes is like, no, that didn't.
This did not happen.
He's like,
No.
He would not have given a stone that's important to the mayor of the Shire. Sorry, no, my father would not have done that. So it was like, sorry, but I think Christopher kind of revealed his hand there a little bit about what he thought about some social status within Middle Earth, that Sam did not get this gem that's from Numenor.
I mean, if it hadn't been for Sam, though, they wouldn't have gotten the ring.
This is true, but we also know potentially what happened to the Shire after well into the Fourth Age, so it would have been sad. I'm really glad he did not write that sequel.
I didn't finish reading all of that. What happens? I didn't read that far.
So the men start hunting hobbits and killing them for sport.
Yeah, okay, I did get that far. Oh.
Yeah. I'm really glad he didn't finish that book. I'm not sad about that at all.
No. He knew when to stop. He was like,
Yeah, he's like, this is depressing. I'm not going to write this anymore. I'm like, thank you. None of us want that book. Your stories are sad enough.
Yeah, I get it. He had a rough life, but man, sometimes some of these stories, I'm like, really? Did it really have to end that way? Really?
Did we have to do that? Well, he did make the elves leave, and that's sad enough in my book. So, so yeah, I don't know. Anything else, girl, you want to go over?
Mostly it's just talking about different names of things.
Yeah.
We could do kind of like a brief, very somewhat brief summary of like what we read last week and this week, and just kind of where we are in the story overall. Because I feel like maybe some people who haven't been watching our videos since the beginning might get a little confused at what the heck we're even doing.
Yeah. A big rat snake just went past my window. Oh, they're good snakes, but they're creepy. I don't like snakes at all. Gross. Okay, I'm sorry, Jacob. That's the saddest part. I was very upset after reading this. Me too. That's creepy. Yes. Okay, yeah, go for it, girl. Start and I will jump in. Okay.
So basically kind of overview right now of what we've gone through is we have gone through the book, the Silmarillion. For those of you who have a hard time pronouncing it, it's based off of the Silmarils. So the Silmarillion is the story of the creation of Middle Earth, the first, second, and I think some into the Third Age, right?
The last chapter is the Third Age.
So basically, this is the material that if Amazon did it right, they would have purchased this book, because this goes over the First and Second Age in pretty much detail, and the story of how the elves, the men, the dwarves, and all how they were created, why they are the way they are, how the gods of Middle Earth came to be, how Melkor came to be, Sauron, and kind of just that story, like the overarching story of what the Silmarils were, because the Silmarils, they actually I still don't understand why he named the book the Silmarillion, because the Silmarils do play a part, but I guess they kind of undercurrent.
Well, they underscore a lot. Yeah, I mean, if they hadn't had the Silmarils, a good port like the Noldor, God knows if they'd ever gone back to Middle Earth.
I feel like they still would have, though.
You think so?
I don't think it would have been quite the way, like in that particular way, but I think they were already starting to want to go back to Middle Earth anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely writes in that Galadriel had that. You know, it was the children that were born in Valinor that had that desire to see Middle Earth. Mm-hmm. And didn't real quickly, did not Christopher put a note in here that, like, had the Valar not interfered, things would have gone much differently? Christopher, I just now remembered that. Christopher literally put in a note that if the Valar had kept their oar out, things would have been different. I just now thought of that. Okay, clearly we're not the only ones who see this.
Right. And also the thing to go to kind of capitalize on that is the Valar interfered with the elves and they're populating Middle Earth because what they did, they were like, oh, Melkor is taking over. We need to rescue these poor elves. They didn't give two thoughts about the men because they didn't know when they were coming. They're like, well, we need to get these elves out of here. So they bring the elves to Valinor to protect them. But what actually, I think what in Iluvatar's mind, or Tolkien's mind, is that if they had left the elves alone, the elves would have been fine, but the men would have been better because the men had no one to protect them when they came, when they just kind of appeared kind of on Middle Earth. And so like things would have been very different if the elves had just been allowed to just stay in Middle Earth, populated, and then the men would have come. The elves would have taught them the things that they needed to learn instead of their first introduction to the world of Middle Earth with Melkor, which is not the best way to start everything out. But yeah, that's kind of one of those speculations that I guess we and Christopher thought of is like, I wish the Valar should just left people alone.
It kind of should have. I put Lord Source Sisters video on a playlist, so if you type that name, it comes up. It might be easy. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. We will absolutely do that. have a playlist on both of our channels. Thank you for being here, JT. Morgoth's desire for the Silmaril set off the events of almost everything. Yep. Yep. Fëanor is the biggest jerk bucket on all of fantasy history. I think even Sauron has more redeeming qualities than him. That is a hot take, Rosie. That is a hot take. The Valar are not portrayed as infallible. That's right. And yes. that's interesting. And I find that interesting. I mean, they're literally gods, but they're not infallible. And Tolkien just does not hesitate to write hard characters. Like nobody's perfect. Everyone has their faults.
And complicated ones.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like modern day fantasy or just anything, like any kind of story, the hero, quote unquote, is just one dimensional. They're just so one dimensional, whereas Tolkien would write someone who you loved them, but you also hated them in the same breath. You're like, man, you're doing great here, but you messed the heck up there. And a lot of modern day consumers, as much as I hate to use that word, like they're consumers. Like a lot of modern day people are just consumers, because if they were customers, they would be able to have the capacity in their brain to think about things deeper than, oh, Thor is funny, he has big hammer, he can punch things. Like, yeah. Excuse me? Like if you actually look into some of the backstories, like of older creators, like their characters were multifaceted. They weren't just this, you're ugly, you're man, you're bad, or you're a woman, you're great, you're amazing. Like, no, like there would be things where you would have strong whammon power, but they'd get their teeth knocked out by a big, strong dude. Like that's what it is in real life. There are weaker men and there are stronger women, but at the end of the day, like a woman's gonna get her teeth knocked out if she tries to be like a man. You know, it's just kind of. Yeah. Absolutely. Real quickly, I have a $10 donation from the Thad that shouldn't be. Thank you, sir. Says nothing. I will give you this. Seeing Thranduil in so much of this book today, I was like, I need a clip of Thranduil. And you see him, like, when you understand his backstory, you have so much more of a reverence and understanding of who he is. He's not just some great elf that can swing some elven swords and kill some orcs. And he's not just pissy. He's not just pissy just cause. His dad, I'm sorry, it sounds like his dad has some of the same issues. So I just think he's a jerkbug. I do too. It's the same. He's deeply complex. But he's a jerk, but I agree. Assessment. So I don't know. Sorry, go ahead. I'm listening to you. I'm slowly getting more and more hungry, and my brain is like,
words, use them. And
well, no, actually, you're helping me because like the sinus medication is like drying my mouth out, so I'm like trying to.
Oh, sorry, dear. So yeah, I mean,
so
like
all
you
of
know,
this talking is kind of like getting harder.
I'm sorry. If you need to go make more tea, I mean, we'll be done here in about 15 or so-ish minutes, and we can wrap up. We can start winding down. When the Rings of Fire is finally over, we should forgive those that came back to the fandom after their betrayal of Tolkien. However, we shouldn't forget their treachery. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. And I you know, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they kind of see through their mistakes. And I don't hate them. I just find it sad. I find it sad that they, like, you know, the Fellowship of Fans, all those people. Betraying the professor is not worth $125 camera, because if you watch Disapprov's video, they all got $125 camera. That's not worth it. And it's you know, again, for me, it's at the end of the day, who are you going to respect, the professor or Tolkien? And I definitely feel like we can't like be like, you're never allowed to be Tolkien fans ever again. We can't be like that, and we shouldn't be like that. There is a thing called forgiveness, and I understand that. And I hope, and again, like Salty said, I wanted this to be good. I wanted it to be a success, but their actions and what we've seen thus far give me no confidence whatsoever. I can't see past that. And I know people have issues with, like, you know, it's the wait and see, like, you know, I want to wait and see. But at the end of the day, we also have to remember, like, the cultural war that we're in, and understand that, you know, there are certain things that may or may not be looming on the horizon that, you know, we can't, like, just sit here and take it. So, you know, if someone like the Fellowship of the Fans, like, you know, parts ways with Amazon and just, you know what, we're just going to go back to being fans, more power to them. Absolutely more power to them. And I respect that decision. I hope that happens. Because, you know, again, it's like, you know, we're doing this as newbies. Our level of understanding of lore, although we do know that Galadriel's older than the moon, we can't say that with quite deep assurance that Galadriel's older than the moon. You know, we're newbies. We're starting out of this brand new. I read The Lord of the Rings like 3 times, but I've never read the histories, and I've never read these books. Well, I read the Silmarillion in high school, but their level, like, they know it down to, like, the periods. Like, you know, we were joking that Christopher did an appendix on, like, how a league is measured by Numenorian standard. That level of detail is insane. And people like the Fellowship of Fans, they understand, and they can recite it, like, off memory. Like, they don't even have to go to the books. That's how well they know it. So if you know something that well, I hope that you can, like, us having access is not worth us defending something that is actively destroying and twisting Tolkien's work. Sorry.
And I can understand how some of the creators, Shield Wall, I brought the pipe back. I forgot to bring the pipe for you. I apologize. I understand that if you are a struggling, quote unquote, struggling content creator, and you're like, man, I could just really use a break, how I can see those types of people when Amazon's like, I will buy you a new camera, you will get more clout, you will get, you know, all of these accolades and all. Like, I can see if somebody, you know, like Isildur, they're tempted by the ring and they take it. Yeah. But it's still one of those things. I really, really hope that eventually they do come back around. Because, you know, like Isildur at the end realized, I messed up. I hope, like, this is just me dreaming and being super hopeful that eventually the people who know their Tolkien lore and know Tolkien will realize the mistake that they're making. And I think one of the things that we need to make sure for those of us who are getting attacked, who are kind of being made fun of at this period of time in history, that when that happens, we don't push them away again. Yeah. Let us not be the people that are like, oh, well, you're the one who left us, so bye, Felicia. Like, let us not be those people when those, like, say, Fellowship of Fans or the Tolkien Society. Lord, I hope the Tolkien Society comes back around. when they do come back around, let us not be, well, you brought this upon yourself, so good luck out there.
Yeah, here's your bed,
No,
now lay at it.
Yeah, let us be the ones that are like, you know what? Yeah, you messed up. You took the ring, but come on back.
Yeah.
You let the ring be destroyed and come on back.
Yeah. The fandom has evolved into the movie fandom and the book-based fandom. Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting. I'm finding, Charlie, that a lot of people now are getting into the books. I'm finding more and more people are like, I'm going to pick up this X book and I'm going to start reading it. And I'm like, that's awesome. Go for it. If you need other recommendations, please ask. So I agree with you, but I have found that like slowly by slowly, more and more people are starting to turn to those books. So it makes me happy. Hey, Kaylee, I just saw you tweeting us out. Thank you so much, my dear. Meglin sucks too. Yeah, Meglin's a little asshole. The creators were arrogant enough to think that they know better than the author. Yep. So the creative blue collar guy and I have taken to pipe smoking, raising the hobbitness of our little passion desire.
I saw those.
I love your garden, Roman. I'm so jealous. That garden is beautiful. When they come crawling back, bruised and bleeding from the wreck of the show. Yep. But you know what? We will be the ones who will help them doctor up those wounds. I hope. I definitely hope. Because the thing is, if they do see the error of their ways, that's just that much more ammo we can throw at Amazon. That's just not, So anyways, okay, let's, we've got 10 minutes to 2 hours. Let's start winding down. Thank you everyone so much for being here. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. Next week, we will be going over Edoras. We will be going over Rohan, and we're deeply, deeply excited about it. Kirion and Errol and the friendship of Gondor and Rohan. We will be going over that on Mando's channel. Mando, my dear, if you want to throw your link in the description, please feel free. Because I don't know if I have any mods here. I don't know if I have any mods left. What?
It's fine. So, brain, repeat what you just said.
So
I was like formulating a thought.
You're good. So next week we'll be going over the friendship between Gondor and Rohan on Mando's channel.
My channel.
You know what? Hold on. Kaylee, I'm gonna make you a mod.
Yes, my channel, which I do.
Okay, Kaylee, if you can put Mando's channel in the chat, I'd appreciate it, my dear.
Yes, my YouTube channel, because I am primarily a Twitch streamer, but I do have a YouTube channel. I do need to make more content for it, and that is happening because I now have an editor, which is the Kaylee that you all see in the chat is my editor, because I still hate editing videos so much. But there's more content that is coming to my YouTube channel, where I'm going to be doing reviews of things. I was asked to do a Witcher review, which I know they're coming out with a third season, so I need to pick up the pace on that. But yeah, there'll be primarily reviews. Next week, Literary Soul Sisters will be on my channel, and my channel name is The Untamable Life. I'm in the chat as The Untamable Life, even though my screen name says Untamed Mando. It's The Untamable Life is too much to type for a lot of different things, so that is where the phrase Untamed Mando came from. My screen name. It's because I couldn't have both names for different things. So Untamed Mando and The Untamable Life are the same person. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. But yeah, we will be having Literary Soul Sisters on my channel next week, and possibly the week after that, because this lovely lady will be in Dallas.
Yes, I'll be in Dallas.
I was not able to go, but
yeah. So hopefully, and again, it's totally Mando's call. She will be doing Literary Soul Sisters either on her lonesome or with a guest for the Quest of Erebor. And then I will read that on my own and get caught up. So yeah. There was another announcement I was going to make. So yeah, but yeah, next week, Rohan. Well, damn it.
Next week is Rohan on my channel. And also, I don't know, do you have it in your description that your link to yes, she has, for those of you, click in the description if you are looking for physical copies of any of the books, including the ones that we are going through. There is a link down below for Elijah's book affiliate thing. I don't know what to call it.
It's an affiliate link with ABE Books, which is an online used bookstore. So yes, if I get 5% of every purchase. So if you guys are looking for some good quality used books, I have bought from ABE Books since I was 18 and needed books for school. They're a great company, and I really like them, and they've got good books. So I think the knowledgeable pushback from you and people like Nerdrotic and Disbrew are pushing normies back to the book. Yep. Yeah, and Disbrew's he's not a lord of the, he doesn't know the lore very well. He just really is good at analyzing stuff. I love Disbrew's videos. I think I've enjoyed him the most. So thank you, Roman. There is Mando's channel. Yeah, so that's what we got going on. I will be in Dallas at the Dallas meetup for Nerdrotic. I will be there that night on the Thursday. Again, I am very shy in person. So if you guys follow Salty Texas, I'm hopefully going to find him and just kind of hang out with him. If you want to come say hi, you have to come find me, and please tell me your screen name, because I don't know, like, if you're not using your real name, I don't know y'all's names. Tell me your screen name, and be patient with me if I stand there and just stare at you, because I'm not good at making conversation. So anyways,
you should also like be recording and putting stuff on your channel.
I will try. If I can't remember, I will video stuff and hopefully make like a little vlog to upload. I would very much like to do that. I will not be live streaming because hashtag that's too much money for my data. But so yeah, no live streams. I'm like 99% certain no live streams. If I'm hanging out with Tugs said she might live stream. So if I inevitably I will probably be hanging out with her a lot. So if you want to go follow that Tug Life, I don't know if she'll be streaming on her YouTube or her Twitch, one or the other.
She'll probably do it on YouTube.
Yeah. So pull that one off, but I do plan on Vegas. Yeah, I know not about Vegas. We'll see. If it works out, I'll go, but if not, I may pass on Vegas. So anyways, okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for the great stream. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for the donations. Let me check one more time as we plan to head out here. And okay, we're good. So thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. And we hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.